Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports live stream watch along of Andy Murray versus Alexander Zverev. That was to do with the WTA version, but now finally Court 1 has got its first ATP match of the day under what could be a very, very heated match between, of course, a three-time Grand Slam champion of Andy Murray against the current Olympic champion back in Tokyo back in Tokyo 2020, which, well, I say Tokyo 2020, it was early this year, back in 2021, in August, when he won the Olympic gold medal, which was a massive moment for Zverev. I just need to double check with Cara. Cara, have you switched screen?
Yes.
Are you sure? Because on my preview, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, I've switched.
Have you got rid of studio mode? Sorry, folks, we got Cara trying out in the thumbnail at the moment. Are you sure you're not on the right thing?
I should be on the right thing.
Okay, now we're on the main background screen. Cool. Okay, yeah. So we're on. We're live. I think the only reason why it looks as though from Cara's side we're a bit laggy. So technical issues from us, I'm afraid, folks. Cara is new to it, so that's something we're going to have to look into, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's really laggy. It's really, really laggy. Not sure why that is. It looked laggy, in all fairness, Carl, when you were screen sharing the whole time, but I'm not really sure if that's Wi-Fi or if that's
Probably,
on
I'd
a
say
MacBook.
it's down to that.
But anyway, we're live, folks. Apologies if it's laggy, but we are trying new things out. We've currently got no data on our YouTube stream now. Sorry about this, folks. Yeah, I should have said something before, Cara. Can you mute us for a moment? Welcome back. Sorry, folks, we're just looking into why the video might be laggy. It is pretty much down to internet connection, so apologies about that. Don't live in Wales, folks. Don't live in Wales.
Too many sheep.
No offense, Cara.
None taken.
Brilliant.
You could probably get better Wi-Fi
anyway.
at the mountain.
So yeah, we've currently got a big match about to happen. Andy Murray's just walking down the tunnel, and I think he'll be the first man to come out onto the court. So there's a few fans still in after, well, actually it's quite an empty stadium here on court 1 after Leylah Fernandez, the US Open women's finalist, just lost in her match. And we've got Zverev, who's just coming out now onto the court. Cara Davies, how are you feeling? Because as always, Andy, these tennis matches always gets delayed and we stay here a lot longer than we planned to. But when it's an Andy Murray match coming up, we don't know how long we could be here for.
No, we could be here an hour. We could be here several hours because we don't know what Murray's gonna. We don't know which Andy Murray's going to show up today. Are we going to see the Andy Murray who has beaten Alexander Zverev in both their previous meetings, or we're going to see a very dominant Alexander Zverev who is just going to bully Murray off the court?
Well, we've got... I mean, this is the thing, like, on paper, Zverev should win this probably in straight sets. But when you're up against someone like Andy Murray, who's been, you know, in all fairness to him, in most tournaments recently, he's been able to win a few matches, not get drastically far, but he's been able to at least get up to like round 2, round 3 in these last few weeks at these tournaments, no matter where they've been. So it just shows that Andy Murray has still got a bit of a winning momentum in him. It's just the fact that he's not really been able to do more than that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he can take a lot of confidence though, because the last time they actually met wasn't that long ago. They actually met in Cincinnati last year, where Andy Murray won in 3 sets. I know a lot's happened since then. Zverev's picked up a couple more Masters titles himself, but you can't rule out Andy Murray because it's Andy Murray, the king of comebacks. But I think Zverev is in a much better place, you know, near enough a year on. He's won an Olympic medal and beaten Novak Djokovic this year, so he's got to be feeling good.
I think this is it. Like, Andy Murray, we all remember what he did in Rio 2016, which was he made that match go on longer against another player that would make matches go on till God knows what time, which was Juan Martín del Potro. And I think it was since then I learned with Andy Murray that, yeah, I don't know where any of his matches go on. But he certainly showed in the last few weeks that every single player that he's played against, whether he's lost or beaten them, they seem to go for the long haul.
Yeah, I think Murray's played it quite smart this year. I know we've not seen him quite a lot. Like, the only tournaments that we've really seen him at so far this year, we've seen him at Queen's Club. That was his first ATP tournament back off of the Challenger Tour. So he played Queen's, Wimbledon, US, and now we're seeing him here at Indian Wells. But he did drop down to a couple of Challenger events between... since Wimbledon US Open to about now, he's dropped down to the Challenger Tour just to get those matches under his belt, like Emma Raducanu did a couple of months ago, which obviously proved that it works. So he's probably taken a leaf out of Emma Raducanu's book and thought, I'm going to drop down to a Challenger level and get more matches under my belt before I come into these bigger tournaments, because these Masters tournaments are basically like the extra Grand Slams. Like, there's a lot of points at stake for the players.
Some do say that Indian Wells is probably the biggest tournament outside the Grand Slams. Indian Wells, you know, it nearly goes on for 2 weeks. In some Masters tournaments, I think most of the Masters tournaments still only take a week. That's because I think there's less players that compete in those tournaments. So it's an interesting one. It's always a big tournament to win, but it's funny, Cara, because on the normal calendar before COVID, it would literally not be much weeks in between the Indian Wells tournament, which is normally in March time, and then Miami Open. So you've got two massive American tournaments that are Masters tournaments as well. And I remember Djokovic, for example, would dominate those two tournaments normally, and because he'd be able to pick up at least 2,000 points after those two tournaments, it helps them stay number one for another season at that point.
Yeah, like you can see like where these top players have got most of their points from, and most of them come from these Masters tournaments. Like Alexander Zverev, for example, he's had a great couple of years. He's actually won 5 Masters 1000 titles, got up to as high as world number 3. And Andy Murray has won 14, and he's been as high as you can get, number 1. So you can see on these players' profiles their rise through the rankings because of these bigger tournaments like the 1000 events.
So we're just both players are just warming up after they've done the coin toss, and if you haven't yet, folks, get in touch on the live chat page. And then Zverev's lot. Andy Murray winning in a Brexit kind of poll right now, 52% to Zverev's 48%, which is exactly the same result as Brexit from 2016. For any of you kids out there, if you want to learn a bit of history tonight, there you go. That's your history lesson from today's stream. And if you haven't yet and you love your tennis, do subscribe to Let's Talk Sport. We've done a few tennis watch-alongs in the past, especially the recent Grand Slam of the US Open, both the men's and the women's finals. And me and Cara hope to do that again this weekend with the men's and women's finals of Indian Wells. The women's final, as I imagine, will be on Saturday night. And, of course, the men's final following that on the Sunday night. But of course, the big question is who will reach those finals. There's no Djokovic or Nadal, I don't think, this week.
No.
On the ATP Tour, Cara. So this is a big open 1,000 points for someone. And obviously there's the race to London, which, of course, the Nitto ATP Finals is not long to go now, just over a month to go before it's happening in Italy for the first time.
Yeah, making that move from London last year, but there was no crowds. But I think obviously this week Andy Murray's clearly a big talking point. He's won a couple of matches, now facing Zverev. Zverev's obviously one of those players who you'd put in that mix of ones to watch. So I'd say Alexander Zverev or Daniel Medvedev, US Open winner versus the 2020 gold medalist. You'd put one of them two winning this title for sure.
We've got some messages in from Greg Livingstone and Jamie Burgoyne. Hope you're both well. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, folks. We're just getting ready to go pretty much after they've done the warm-ups and the coin toss. And yeah, looking forward to this one. Will it be an upset by Andy Murray against the current Olympic holder? We've got the two previous Olympic champions going face to face. Andy Murray winning it in London 2012 and Rio 2016, with Zverev winning it earlier this year for Tokyo 2020. And a good start by Andy Murray. It was an ace down the middle. Zverev didn't even move a muscle. Of course, it's early days. They're both still warming up in what is... The sun is starting to come down here at Indian Wells, but it's certainly beautiful weather, as always, in this tournament. I don't think I've ever seen this tournament ever rain. It's a very dry part of America, that's for sure. Serve. He just curved it a bit wide there, and because of that, it's a double fault. You can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to approach down the middle like he did last time, but it was just a little too wide. And Zverev's got his first point on the board.
Don't know if you've seen any of the highlights from Murray's last match against Carlos Alcaraz, one of the teenagers having a breakthrough year on the tour this year. In the third set, Andy Murray decided to do an underarm serve, first serve, and he got an ace, won the point, won the game. It was probably one of the most hilarious, interesting Murray serves I've ever seen, because he spotted that Alcaraz was standing a good foot behind the baseline, so he just thought, I'm just going to tap this one over and see what happens, and it works. So it'll be interesting.
MC top and navy shorts with white socks, which Andy Murray, I think he plans to wear AMC until he retires, from what I read.
I think so, yeah. He's signed a big deal with them now, and LTA are sponsored by them as well, so it makes sense that he's gonna stick with them from now until whenever the end is gonna be, whenever that may be.
Well, it's another ace from Andy Murray leading the game. Work pays off in recovery from his injuries that he's had. That's kept him out of the top rankings in the men's tennis over the last 2-3 years. And Zverev hits the net, and it's a good start for Murray. A tight game, that one, but he gets to hold his serve in the opening game, and he gets applause from his coaching team. So 1-0 to Murray. And it's weird watching Murray play again, Cara, because I haven't watched that much of Andy Murray since, probably since.
So you can be that complete player like we've seen Murray in the past. It's just whether or not he can. It comes down to matches at the end of the day, doesn't it? He's not played that much. It's probably one of the round of the US Open a few weeks ago, where he did take Tsitsipas to 5 sets, couldn't quite get over the finish line. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares against Zverev.
Quite similar to Murray, you know, a man with potential when he was around Murray's, you know, could be something similar to when Andy Murray won London 2012. And that it's a big moment in his career, of like a make or break moment, you could say, where winning Olympic gold and especially beating Djokovic in that semi-final shows that he can do it.
That's why something switched for Murray, though, wasn't it? Like that Olympic title run in 2012 was kind of the turning point. So with Zverev being such a similar character to Andy Murray, you kind of think maybe that's the same path that he's going to go down.
So we've got a bit of a backhand clash going on here. Murray leading 30-15 at the moment. Oh, good drop shot by Zverev on the net, but Murray returns it with a backhand past the German and makes the bounce before the baseline, and it's 15-40. This is a hell of a start by Andy Murray. Has Andy Murray been inspired by Emma Raducanu up against a person who's a lot more highly ranked than him, and somehow just shows no pressure or nerves whatsoever at the moment? And at the end of the day, Carl, he's got nothing to lose.
No, he. You know what? I think with Murray, he probably wasn't even expecting to get past the first round against Adrian Manarino, the Frenchman, but he managed to come through that, and he thought, great. And then the second match is just a bonus, isn't it? And to have won that match against such a special and talented player in Alcaraz was testament to Murray's ability as a player to get himself out of tricky situations, because that was a tough match, and he kind of switched up the tactics in the third set, which proved helpful in getting through.
So Murray's got breakpoint number 2.
It's just so nice to see him back on court, though, isn't it? Like, you never know when a tennis player is going to retire. So every match that Murray plays, you just got to treat as if it's going to be his last, because you never know if that's going to be the last match he plays or not.
I do miss the old days of when Murray was, you know, a top 4 ranked player at least, where it was always exciting to know that he would probably get to at least the semis of these tournaments. On a good day, if that makes sense.
Because Murray was always the guy who got to the latter stages of the tournament, but just never quite won it, or never quite made it to the final.
Well, at the moment, it's a good day so far. The sun is shining on Murray. He's 2-love up, and he's going to serve next. Set 1 currently just on 8 minutes so far. Of course, Zverev, can't underestimate a young talent like him at the moment. Let's not forget, as well as Olympic gold, he won the ATP finals back in 2018. So he would love to add Indian Wells to his list. From the top of my head, I don't know if he's won Indian Wells before, but I'd imagine he hasn't. I might actually just Google that.
He's definitely won Cincy. He's won that.
And that's a Masters tournament, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find his list of trophies. Of course, he was. I do keep forgetting he was the US Open finalist last year to Dominic Thiem, but lost in all 5 sets. So he's at least got to a Grand Slam final. It's currently 30 love with Murray.
With Zverev though, he's kind of bookended his year because he started off the year at the Aussie Open, lost to Novak Djokovic in the semi-final, ends the year at the US Open, loses in the semi-final to Novak Djokovic.
Of course, our last tennis watch-along on Let's Talk Sport was the US Open men's final between Djokovic and Medvedev, which Medvedev, he's playing in this tournament, and you know, he is currently world number 2, and I think he would love to close that gap on Djokovic if he can this week.
Yeah, world number 2 and top seed. This is the best time to do it. You've just won your first Grand Slam. You've got some extra points for making it to the final and winning, and now you're playing at Indian Wells Masters 1000 event. You want to kind of try and close that gap. So even if he might not close out Djokovic this year, he's gonna be very close to him going into the 2022 season, where we kick it off in Australia.
So Murray 40-15 up here on his service game as Zverev hits it down the line on the right, and Murray's backhand return hits the tip of the net and the ball stays on his side. So it's 40-30, so that'll be a little frustration. A look at the draw there, it felt like, for Zverev, but you'll take any luck you can get when you're trailing a player. Currently looking at the rankings, this isn't the Race to London rankings I'm looking at, this is the overall points. So Djokovic top of the tree with 11,633 points. Medvedev on 10,575 points. So if I'm correct, if Medvedev wins this tournament, I think he could be less than 100 points behind Djokovic going into the last few weeks of the regular season. So that is interesting, because let's not forget the year-end number 1 trophy is a thing. Let's not forget that. And that normally gets awarded at the ATP finals once we know for sure who will finish the season as world number 1. And
player in quite a while to dethrone Novak Djokovic as the world number 1. And do you know what? I think it's quite a nice shake-up for tennis if that was to happen. And
yeah, I agree.
If not now, it will do at some point next year. We see Novak Djokovic dethroned of world number 1.
So it's back to deuce. Murray's been able to just rescue a break point there. That's the first break point, I think, for Zverev in this match so far, and he's not been able to finalise it with that one. Remember, folks, get in touch on our live chat page. We'd love to read out your messages. If you haven't yet, do vote on the poll. It's currently now Murray 57%, Zverev 43%. So it's more in favour of Murray now since we last checked, when it was at 52% to 48%. Of course, we'll talk more about the other Brits in the tennis tournament who well, pretty much the only one that's left as well as Andy Murray's Cameron Norrie. Dan Evans went out, and so did Emma Raducanu, which we'll talk more about Emma Raducanu in a bit. Currently got Andy Murray trying to hold on to his serve at a juice game at the moment, and his backhand is too strong for Zverev, but the old fist pump of Murray shouting, "Come on, we do miss that" from Andy Murray.
Just the old Murray magic, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Like, you'll miss it when he's gone. Like, whether you love him or you hate him, there's never going to be anyone like Andy Murray again.
No. But let's hope Emma Raducanu replaces him in terms of bringing more glory. Back to juice. And this is what Andy Murray's good at, making the match go on forever. It was supposed to have started over 2 hours ago. Yeah, this game duration is just turned up now, saying it's 6 minutes and 16 seconds. Of course, let's not forget, folks, when it comes to a Masters tournament, the maximum sets is 3 sets, so it's not a 5-setter like we see at Grand Slam level, which is the only tournaments that normally do 5 sets, unless you really want to count the Davis Cup. But in terms of these individual tournaments, it is just the Grand Slams that offer he stands in the shadows of the stadium, waiting for this service from the former 3-time Grand Slam champion. And what a response by Murray. Ace down the middle, and Zverev went for it. He went for the run. He poked out his racket, and he couldn't get any contact behind it whatsoever. Right past him and slammed into the wall. That's any ace will do kind of moment there.
We need to get that as a soundbite. Just play
already
it every
Andy
time.
Murray has 3 aces. I think that's our quote between me and Cara, that. Any ace will do.
I think we just need to add any, then a verb or adjective, and then will do.
So here we go, back to juice game. Oh, not a great serve by Andy Murray, but the rally still goes on. Bit of forehand between the two. Now both of them going for the backhand. Zverev's backhand was too weak, and he's hit the net. So advantage Murray. Come on, ace will do. A 3-game lead would be a very nice cushion for Andy Murray.
No, it'd be great, wouldn't it? Because he started the match with a hold, then a break, then a hold. Break consolidation. That's all you want in a tennis match, especially if it's you, the person it's happening to.
Absolutely. Oh, he's hit it long, Murray. Juice number 5. And already you can see the sweat patches on Murray's t-shirt.
We've only been going about 16, 17 minutes as well.
Why do they do this?
Good money, innit?
I think that's it. If you had a ticket for a Murray match, you know you're going to be in for a good one.
Yeah, you're in for a good night. Make sure you book the day off work the following day.
Like I did.
Because somebody I play with, who I play tennis with, Sandra. Hi Sandra, you're probably not watching this. You're probably in bed. But she managed to get tickets to Wimbledon, where Andy Murray was playing against Oscar Otter on centre court, and that match went on for ages, and she was a zombie when she went back to work the next day.
Well, they're just showing a match point now between Basilashvili, who looks to have won the match, his girlfriend watching on. I missed who it was he was playing in that match. So that's him through. I'm just trying to remember the name of who his opponent was. Nope, scoreboard won't show up. Fine.
It
That was
was
useless.
Ramos Vinolas from Spain. 3 sets.
So Murray leading 3 games to love.
Perfect start. I know he had a bit of a sloppy service game there, with a few missed opportunities, but you know, a game's a game.
So remember, folks, to get in touch on our live chat page. Match already 20 minutes old. Of course, we've called it Court 1, but they call it Staging 1 on the feed, it seems. So really, for Zverev right now, for someone who's either seed number 2 or seed number 3, yeah, it wouldn't look good if he doesn't pick up at least 1 or 2 games in this opening set. He needs to get a game on the board as he makes the serve, and he started off well with an ace, which went past Murray's right. Leading 15 love.
Speaking of Andy Murray and comebacks, though, somebody who was inspired by Andy Murray's return to the professional tour was Kim Clijsters, and she made her comeback on the tour this week. Actually, she lost in 3 sets, but you know, she managed to get a set in her first match back in a big event like this. I mean, I love Kim Clijsters. She was my hero when I was growing up back in the day. I just love watching her. She was probably my favourite tennis player of ever. big fan, Kim.
She won the US Open, didn't she?
She did, yeah. US Open and Aussie Open. She never won the French, never won Wimbledon.
Zverev 40 love up in his service game. It's a bit more like it from him. Murray's completely gone inside the court for this second serve. Oh, that's a good forehand, and because of that, Zverev couldn't respond to it and hit the net instead. Oh, Larry Ellison's watching on. He's the tournament owner. But I'm trying to remember what else he owns. He owns quite a lot of things.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I thought you said that he was watching us and he was in the chat, and I was like, oh, hi. I was about to say hello. I didn't realise that he'd popped up and he was watching in the stadium. Oh, God.
Yeah, of course, he's the chief executive officer of Oracle, which... I remember he had a America's Cup team in the sailing named after Oracle Team USA, which had Ben Ainsley in it 8 years ago. And, God, he's 77. He doesn't look 77.
God.
Larry Ellison, that's amazing.
Very young 77.
And apparently his net worth is $123.1 billion. Yeah, that's a lot of money. He certainly paid his bills back at the University of Chicago, I'm sure, from when he was studying there in the 60s. And anyway, back with the match. It's Andy Murray leading the opening set by 3 games to 1. And again, another ace by Andy Murray, which we didn't see this before his big injuries and changes to his career. I don't remember. Not this many aces in one match so far.
Do you know what? Fair play. He's really stepped it up on serve. Like, I've not seen him serve this well in quite a while. Definitely pre-injury and pre hip resurfacing procedure.
He's been talking to Emma Raducanu.
Give us some tips,
Which, of
love.
course, well, there has been rumours that Emma Raducanu has turned to Andy Murray to at least do some sort of coaching for her. But Andy Murray, actually, funny enough, Cara said to the press recently that he didn't really want to share any advice, did he, or anything like that, from what I can remember.
No, I think it doesn't matter what player it is. I think he'll want to keep his cards close to his chest, whether or not it's on the women's side or the men's side. He'll probably give her enough to take away, but not all of it, because I think there's some things that she might need to figure out on her own. And I think that's why Murray is such a legend and a champion, because he didn't have somebody to tell him what was what from start to finish. He kind of figured that out as he progressed through the years. But it's good for Raducanu though to have somebody like Andy Murray as like a mentor. Like, he's much older. He's seen a lot more than she has on the tours.
Yeah. And that's been the big problem. Well, no, the big worry about Raducanu, isn't it? Where, despite winning the US Open, straight away people were saying it's all about how does she manage this from now on. When you earn all that money, you've got to start probably investing in having a decent team around you so that you carry on being on top of things. Oh, excuse me. It's nearly midnight here in England. Well, this match, of course, is happening in Indian Wells, which is at least... Well, actually, they're quite a bit behind. They're nearly 8 hours behind us, since it's a different time zone in America than the usual time zone, which is 5 hours behind in most places.
Previous service game, he saved a couple of break points.
Yeah. Oh, bad serve. Good return, though, by Zverev with the forehand. Oh, that's a big shot by Zverev. Andy Murray somehow gets to it, but he won't get to that one. And Zverev has got another game back and broken Murray's serve for 2 games in a row, I think, there. So, Andy Murray, who was 3-love up, is now 3-2 up, with Zverev to serve next. So, all of a sudden, this could turn around for Zverev in this opening set, which, sadly, Cara, Andy Murray may have had a good start, but maybe there's a catch to it.
I think this has been a running theme throughout the Murray career. Like, you can't sit, if you're an Andy Murray fan, you can't sit down and be confident knowing that he's gonna breeze this, he's gonna walk it, he's gonna win. There's you end up with a few grey hairs by the end of the match when you're watching Andy Murray, because you don't know, you haven't got that confidence in him like you may do in Novak Djokovic. Like, you don't know if he's going to go out there and win the match. It's always been like that.
Absolutely. So as they have a quick break, Cara, how much of the Emma Raducanu match did you see? The opening match and the only match she was playing at Indian Wells last week, and her first match since becoming the US Open champion. It sadly didn't continue her fine form.
No, it's a shame. I would have loved to have seen her win at least one match after her amazing run at the US Open, but wasn't meant to be. I think the media definitely had a field day with some of the headlines that followed hours after that match finished, but she said there was no pressure. She wasn't feeling it. She just needs to move on, and I think she's got a good attitude. And that's what you need to do in tennis. You just need to kind of move on and prepare yourself for what's coming next. You can't dwell on what happened at the start of this week where she lost against a player that she could have beaten. But it's a different tournament, different conditions. It's way hotter than what the US Open was. So hopefully we can see her come back at the next tournament and maybe get a match win under her belt, because we've not yet seen that from her, because her professional debut was at Nottingham and she lost to Harriet Dart, I think that was. So we've not seen her win a match in any of the tournament outside of the Grand Slams on the Pro Tour and WTA circuit.
And what year was that?
That was this year. She made a professional debut. Nottingham this summer.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Small world. I do apologise, folks, but I must go to the toilet because I can't hold it in for much longer. So I'm just going to mute my mic and I'll be right back. But Cara will be here.
If you're just joining us, get yourself in the chat and vote in our poll. Who's going to win today? Is it going to be Andy Murray? Is it going to be Alex Zverev? Myself and Jamie haven't given our predictions yet, but if they're anything to go by of the US Open, we shouldn't be predicting anything. But my gut feeling from this is Zverev is going to win in straight sets, but might not happen considering the opponent he's facing today in Andy Murray, because we all know what Murray's like. He loves a good three-setter in these events, but 40-15 on the Zverev serve at the moment to go to level the match at 3-all. Zverev only played one other previous match this week after a bye in the first round. Murray, this is his third match of the week. But the winner of this one is going to face the winner of the match between Gael Monfils and Kevin Anderson. Gael Monfils, obviously a showman of the game. Kevin Anderson, the big serving South African giant. Both difficult opponents, all similar ages as well. Both of them were in their 30s as well, like Sir Andy Murray. Murray managing to bring this game back to deuce. Deuce, 3-2 Murray. Zverev looking to level at 3-all. Mentioned a bit earlier that their last meeting was at the 2020 Cincinnati Masters, where Murray won that meeting in 3 sets, 6-3, 3-6, 7-5. Interesting as well that all their meetings so far, albeit 2 of them, have been on hard courts. Murray leading their head-to-head 2-love. Can he make it 3-love? Well, Zverev has got a point to level at 3-all. Zverev's year so far, though, 2021 Grand Slam CV for this year. Australian Open, he got defeated by Novak Djokovic in the quarter-final. French Open, he got defeated in the semi-final by Stefanos Tsitsipas, the runner-up this year, losing out to Novak Djokovic in that final in 5 sets. Wimbledon, he only made it to the 4th round, got beaten by Felix Auger-Aliassime, and US Open he lost to Novak Djokovic in the semi-final. Whereas Andy Murray, we didn't see him at the Aussie Open or the French Open, as he was just coming back at that point and then dropping down to a challenger level. We then see him at Wimbledon, where he got to the 3rd round, defeated by Denis Shapovalov, and US Open first round, where he got defeated by Stefanos Tsitsipas in 5 sets. Controversial match. I haven't quite forgotten about that one, the bathroom breaks and whatnot. But Zverev has levelled 3-all. Murray to serve, love 15. if you're here, make sure to like and subscribe to the Let's Talk Sport channel. The lads have done an exceptional job of building the following, and some exciting things to come. So do drop a like, drop a subscribe, get us in the algorithm. Jamie's returned. Welcome back.
I'm just eating a biscuit. I'll be right back.
Murray love 30 down on his service game at the moment. The level at the moment, though, just seems to be big hitting from the back of the court. Not seen too many drop shots since the opening 2 games or so from Murray. He hit a good few drop shots. Not seen many since.
Oh, it's such a shame, isn't it, for Murray? He's had such a good start, but now
Let's Zverev like back into the match.
The rankings are starting to show why Zverev is up there. Yeah, Murray's got a break point against him. Which, and not in a harsh way, but I can't wait until the first set is done. And at the moment, it looks as though Zverev, well, he's currently 2 games away from winning the opening set. What a turnaround from the Olympic champion. He lost the first 3 games, and then he goes and wins the next 4.
Champions mentality.
We've had a bit of inconsistency from both players, really.
Yeah, it's like they can't both play well at the same time. There's always got to be a one player. Zverev winning. Which is it? Is Murray losing the match, or is Zverev winning it?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny watching a bit of Andy Murray now in slow motion with his usual old-fashioned frustrated face. Or looking rather like, oh shit, or like, oh fuck, kind of reactions to the moments when the matches aren't going his way. I'll never forget, I can't remember if it was Miami in 2015 or Indian Wells in 2015 when Andy Murray went up against Djokovic. Now, of course, this was 6 years ago, so this was when Andy Murray was actually not doing too badly. He was up there in the rankings, he was up there competing for Grand Slams as well as Djokovic, Nadal and Federer. And I remember Andy Murray just screaming so many times in this match against Djokovic, and there's a famous picture of him screaming at his hand. It looks like he's biting an apple, an imaginary apple.
I know the one.
It was so bizarre. I mean, it's that long ago. It's when Andy Murray was wearing Adidas, so it's a good while. Anyway, Zverev serving while leading 4-3 in the opening set. He would love to just continue this form of his service game and be 1 game away. Bit of backhand tennis going on and a bit of slicing from both of them. But Murray's slice, that was very weak from the baseline. And Zverev takes the opening point.
Something you don't really expect from Andy Murray, a weak, sliced backhand. Like over the years,
quite good at them.
Yeah, like he's got a really effective sliced backhand that you wouldn't necessarily think would break down.
No. It's now at 50-all. Of course, the stadium not really got much crowds in.
It's quite hard to believe, isn't it?
Surprised me.
Because it's like Zverev, Olympic champion, Murray, Americans love him, and he's a 3-time Grand Slam champion.
You do wonder if they just expected this to be a walkover, maybe.
Or they were just wanting to have something to eat and a drink after that 3-set Fernandez defeat.
Yeah.
Because Shelby Rogers is American, so obviously there was going to be a bigger crowd in for that one, just to cheer on their home favourite.
Well, that's match now, Zverev. And couldn't have done it at a better time when 3-love down in the opening set. Second serve here for Zverev. Tries to go down the middle. Murray responds to it, and Zverev hits it wide. And he's kind of shouting a bit towards his coaches in the corner. It is funny seeing some of these ball boys, because there's one old chap in the corner doing it who looks like he's got no hair, and he looks like he's a retired American. I might be wrong, but I'm trying to figure out how many ball boys have they got.
I don't think you'd call him a ball boy. I think he's more of a ball man.
Or ball grandpa.
A ball veteran.
Murray getting support from his coaches in the far corner, especially Delgado, who's been with him for a long time.
Yeah, even through the Lendl coaching period, Jamie Delgado's been with Andy Murray, so he's been with him quite a long time.
Isn't it funny how Murray always won a Grand Slam when Ivan Lendl was there?
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Because obviously they had that spell when they split up, and then when Lendl came back, he won Wimbledon again. It's such a weird one. I think Lendl was no doubt worked for Murray. No doubt.
He was a secret weapon.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was kind of like the start of the super coach era, wasn't it? Because Murray got with Lendl, Djokovic got with Boris, Federer got with Ljubicic, Djokovic then switched to Goran, Murray switched to Mauresmo, then went back to Lendl.
The Mauresmo one was a weird one, wasn't it?
It was a strange period, because I think she was brought in because he wanted to win the French. Didn't quite work out, but I think it was a refreshing.
I mean, he was close. I mean, he got to the French Open final.
It was a refreshing take for the men's side, because other than Andy Murray, I can't really think of any other player who would bring on a female coach. So this is where I have a lot of respect for Andy Murray, because he's kind of like championing women's tennis and, you know, sticking up for women's rights, which is, you know, I like that in Andy Murray.
I mean, you can say that, but Andy Murray also lost his Reading wing.
He did.
As we saw, I don't know if any of you folks knew, but while he's been out here in Indian Wells, it was a few days ago, probably at the end of last week, where for 24 hours or 48 hours, Andy Murray lost his Reading ring because he normally ties it on his laces on one of his shoes when he's playing tennis. Now, when he was practicing or training, he left his trainers somewhere, and because of that, they got nicked, and that meant his Reading ring. He at first thought, if I've lost my trainers, so be it. It happens. And he even put it. If you don't follow Andy Murray on Instagram or social media, do so, and you can watch the 2 parts of the first video of him asking around if anyone has seen it to return it. But then the second video, it's him saying, "Oh, I've got it back." And he's even sniffing his own trainer straight after, and he goes, "Yep, it still smells."
Do you know what I can't believe though? That Andy Murray only had the one pair of tennis shoes. It's like, why did you not bring more than one pair? Because he said he had to go to one of the sports shops and buy a couple more pairs of trainers, because those were the only ones that he brought, and because he left them I think he left it under one of the cars that the ferries the players back into to the grounds. He'd left them under the car to kind of get some air because they were all horrible and sweaty, and then they got stolen and returned. Faith in humanity restored.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I mean, yeah, it's the way he said it when his physio was going through his stuff, and he goes, "Where's your ready wing?" And he goes, "Oh shit."
On me shoes.
His video confession was so funny. It was when he even said, "Yeah, I won't be in the good books at home.
Nope.
If I go home without it." But luckily, someone returned it.
Someone had a conscience.
He had to talk to security at his hotel, so maybe someone found it and just returned it to security at the hotel. So, Andy Murray up against Zverev in this opening set. If you've just joined us, Zverev is serving for the set here and leading at 5-4. And it started off so well for Andy Murray. 3-love up he was. But Zverev has been able to completely turn it around and remind us why he is one of the best in the world at the moment in men's tennis. I'm quite liking a game of the opposite side of that court, and the opposite half of that court, and it's now Zverev leading 30-love. He's currently got 18 winners and 11 unforced errors. Oh, not a bad backhand by Zverev. Murray somehow keeps it in play. Oh, was that wide by Zverev? No, it wasn't. He approached the net with a backhand, and it just bounced twice inside the court. I've seen Zverev in the past get easily frustrated and get angry and then lose the match just because his mindset isn't there. But so far, Cara, despite the early scare he had, he finally woke himself up, and it clearly happened at the right time.
Yeah, definitely the mentality was don't panic. Just make him play the extra ball. And he's pushed Murray, especially during the latter half of the first set. He just managed to play a little bit better.
So currently 6-4 in the opening set to Zverev. Remember to get in touch with us, folks, on the live chat page. Despite the fact that Zverev's taken the opening set, our poll hasn't really changed that much. It's now 61 of you have voted, and 57% have gone for Andy Murray, and 43% have gone for Zverev. But at the moment, those 43% of you might be right after Zverev takes the opening set.
Who do you reckon is going to win?
I can't look past Zverev, to be honest. Remember when I said to you earlier in a voice message that it'll either be Andy Murray lets this go on forever, regardless of whether he wins the match, or Zverev on paper will thrash Murray. And I have a feeling the thrashing might happen here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite a thrashing so far. I mean, Andy Murray has managed to get 4 games out of the first set and did lead 3-love, but maybe it's going to be a bit more one-sided from here on out.
Let's see. Andy Murray's going to start the second set on the serve. So he knows he could just do with at least holding this game for now. Otherwise he could be in trouble here. A few more faces now sitting down in the court.
This week with Andy Murray. I think Tennis Channel did an interview with Iga Swiatek, and in their little chat that they put on one of the preview videos on Twitter, she said she wanted to have a practice with Andy Murray, and the interviewer was like, Andy Murray, why not hit her up? Why not ask her? And then Andy Murray replied to the tweet saying, I haven't got a number, but I'm practicing on court 3 tomorrow. And they both ended up practicing together. And Andy Murray is one of Iga Swiatek's idols.
Love it. So Murray leading his service game at 15 love here. I'm kind of hoping this is done in 2 sets because my word am I tired, folks.
I don't know if you can see, like, my camera's not in HD, but the bags under my eyes. More bags than Heathrow.
What time do you start work tomorrow?
What day is it tomorrow?
Wednesday.
I'm hitting tomorrow, so that's going to take up a lot more energy than just sitting behind a desk and answering the phones. So hopefully I'll be all right. But it's
What time do you start?
Not too late. I'll probably get down to the centre about 12. So
that's not too bad.
Potential for a bit of a lie-in.
I've got the day off tomorrow and I think I will use that. So 15 all. Somewhere with the serve down the middle. Zverev gets there with his double hand backhand. Oh, lovely drop shot. Or net play by Murray, and it bounces twice on Zverev's court before the German could even reach it. Now leading the game 30-15. Yeah, that's a great shot. No chance for Zverev on that one. Oh, excuse me. 40-15 Murray. Zverev couldn't return his serve. What do you reckon, Cara? 2 sets Zverev or 3 sets Murray?
2 sets Zverev. That was my prediction before the match started. But I was saying when you went off for a comfort break that our predictions during the US Open weren't very good.
No.
Because I think I definitely predicted Raducanu was to lose every single match that she played at the US Open.
I'm trying to remember who I had as favourite to win the women's tournament before Raducanu. I think it was always going to be open, but maybe Ashley Barty was the one that I was thinking could win it.
Especially after Wimbledon, you kind of thought, Ash Barty would be the one to kind of maybe make it further than what she did.
Yeah.
But I wanted Angie Kerber to win. But she lost to Fernandez en route to her first ever Grand Slam final.
Does Zverev hit it long? Either way, it's a point for Murray there against Zverev's serve. So love 15. I'll be right back. I forgot to close my window. Sorry, now I'm back. Remember, folks, to get in touch on our live chat page. Let us know your thoughts on the tennis. And Andy Murray's 2 points away from breaking Zverev's serve here. Love 30. Oh, excuse me. Zverev served down the middle, too good for Murray there. And Murray Zverev with the serve. This is his second serve.
Oh, I'm going to stretch my legs. Oh.
I don't blame you.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
This is the
good
first time I've
rally.
stood
Ooh.
up in about 3 hours.
So, Murray, 2 break points at 15:40. And it's exactly the start we saw in the first set. Can he win this game and hold on to that lead? Instead, he's returned the serve long. Now 30-40. Oh, lovely forehand there by Zverev. Picking out a side that Murray wasn't at. And then the old grab path was in the tennis balls again.
Oh, excuse me.
Currently at juice. On the line. Of course, these tennis players can see straight away where the ball was landed on the court. That's another ace from Zverev, and that seals his first game of the second set. 1-1 so far. But at the moment, Kara, we just saw a bit of the early stuff from Zverev there, where he started off terribly in the first set, but he was able to get back in that last game.
Yeah, it's kind of carrying on his momentum. I don't think he wanted to let that game slip there, just to kind of keep the pressure on Murray, because he's a lot closer to finishing this match than Murray is. Murray's a set down.
So Murray to serve. Do is look at the race to. Is it Milan they're playing in this year?
I think so. Yeah, Milan, isn't it? First year.
Let's have a.
It's going to be in Milan.
Let's have a look at.
Djokovic, Medvedev, Zverev. I think they definitely would have qualified, wouldn't they?
So Murray third to love up in his service game. Zverev hits it long with a backhand down the middle. Now Murray just a point away for leading the second set again. You expect at some point Murray to be in a tie break, whether or not he wins them.
If he can force a tie break, it'll definitely spice it up. Spice it up a little bit. Yeah. I mean, winning the second set would spice it up a little bit.
And my stream seems to have changed match. What's that all about? May have to change that. Oh no, they're just showing a drinks break in another match for some reason. Cara, do you want to update our viewers on what the latest scores are in the Indian Wells tournament?
Yep, I'll just get my page up. So at the moment, we'll head over to the women's side. At the moment, we've got Barbora Krejcikova, French Open champion this year. She's up against 21st seed in Badoza. Badoza is leading 2-1 with a break. Victoria Azarenka, 27th seed versus Sasnovich. Azarenka took the first set. They're just about to get underway in the second. Men's matches today. We've got Gael Monfils, Kevin Anderson. They're playing later on this morning, our time, about 2 o'clock in the morning. If anybody is awake and has a feed for that, it'll be on around 2 a.m. UK. Dlashvili beat Ramos Vinolas 3 sets. Hachinov beat Carreno 6-love 6-4. Yannick Sinner beat John Isner. It was a walkover. And Matteo Berrettini, upset alert, 5th seed, lost to Taylor Fritz in straight sets.
Blimey.
So that's a big upset. And obviously, another Brit, Cam Norrie, beat Baptista Agut in 3 sets. He's had a really good season.
Then I thought you meant the wrestler.
He's had a good season though, Cam Norrie. Probably his best year on the tour so far.
Oh, me. Zverev a bit in trouble on his service game. 2-1 down in the second set, and he's now 15-30 down. Needs to be careful here. Oh, this is a great cross-court action from both here on the net, and it's Murray who comes out on top to get himself a... And Zverev save 2 break points. And it is Andy Murray who wins the game 3-1 in the second set, and he serves next here. So Zverev in that zone again, Cara, where he's got to turn it around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just seems he's had a little bit of a lapse in concentration at the moment, and we see Murray is leading again in this match. But I think the problem is with Murray, what we've seen, he can get ahead, but it's just staying there that seems to be the issue. Just when Murray starts to find a bit of form and gets ahead in the match, he has a sloppy couple of points, and Alexander Zverev's back in the match, levelling up or nudging ahead.
Well, you'll see it in a minute, but it was a terrible overarm hit by Zverev, and it went miles past the court. It should have been his point, really, in his bid to win a service game from Andy Murray.
I mean, this is kind of like a repeat of set number 1, isn't it? Murray ahead, love 3, now ahead 3-1, then loses 4 games in a row and loses the first set.
Well, they've both got 6 aces each. So already 12 aces in a match that's only just recently started on a second second set. You don't see that much, from my experience of watching tennis. He'll have to take his serve again for a second serve. Apparently that one was too long.
I just got to the overarm smash on my feed, so I am about 5 hours behind. But yeah, Zverev just got the direction totally wrong. I mean, the court's big, but it's not that big.
Yeah, that was a terrible shot. Oh, but he's made up for it with this fantastic forehand down the right. I think it hit the line on the way just to keep it in. So now 30-15 towards Murray. So Murray would hate to lose another service game and have a set turned round from him. It's a shame, Carl, because the way he started the first two sets, if he had got himself away from Zverev, it could have been a one-horse race.
Yeah, I just think it was the decision-making with a couple of the shots that have been the nail in the coffin, because Murray's drop shots, as much as they were working out in the first couple of games of the first set, you know, the end of the first set ended with a drop shot in the net from Murray. So I think he's feeling a little bit tight on some of the big moments. So
don't say that word. Now, of course, our next watch along for Indian Wells is most likely going to be at least the women's and the men's finals. So the WTA version here in Indian Wells starts at 6. It should be at around Saturday time, and then and then this Sunday it's the men's final. So it's 30-all at the moment with Andy Murray's serve after just breaking Zverev's serve. Ooh. Very powerful backhand stuff from Andy Murray. Not a bad slice either as he lobbed it past Zverev. Can Zverev get there? No, he can't. And Andy Murray a point away to make it 4-1. And as you'd expect, some of the crowds who are in the stadium now giving him a big cheer. There's no doubt something he misses, Kari, which is obviously being back with the fans and seeing them all over the world.
It makes a difference, though, I think. Like, playing in an empty stadium with sound effects of a crowd noise, but there's nobody there is not what you want when you're a professional athlete, because I think for some of these players, like your Andy Murrays, your Gael Monfilses, your Nick Kyrgioses, they need a crowd there to kind of big them up, get on their side, cheer. Like, even if they're not cheering for them, you kind of just want a bit of atmosphere and have something to feed off in the match.
Yeah, absolutely. So 40-30 to Murray. He's hit the tip of the net and the ball bounced in the wider zone. So let's put it back to Juice.
I didn't think, though, like a year ago when we kind of just come out of the first lockdown and things resumed again, that we'd ever get back to a place where we'd have a live crowd at a sports event.
Yeah.
And yet we've had Grand Slams go ahead with crowds, the Euros go ahead with crowds, cricket, F1.
Yeah. So Murray's got a break point against him all of a sudden from Zverev. Break point's 1 for Murray. He's won 1 out of 3. And Zverev has won 0 out of 0. So could it be a first for Zverev in this match?
This is what we seen in the first set. We had the long service game when Murray was up 3-love, 3-1, for Zverev to get kind of a hold on the match from that point, break back, hold, and break.
What a point. Wait till you see it, Carl, but we've just seen a great points from Zverev.
Give me an hour and I'll give you my
thoughts. He's broken
thought.
his serve. So Zverev actually is back in the game now, so he's going to serve next as he's 3-2 down in the second set.
God, like I'm just seeing some of the...
Murray was... For a moment, Murray was a point away from making it 4-1. Instead, he's now just leading by one game.
The net. I think he wants to get these points ended quickly because he doesn't want to be in a big, long rally with someone like Zverev. He wants to end the points quickly, draw him into the net and wear him out. But it's not quite working.
Andy Murray doing like a signal to either his coaches or to some random fan maybe of him psychopathically pointing at his head and tapping it with his fingers so many times aggressively. Sounds like Andy Murray, doesn't it? The old days of Andy Murray.
Classic Andy Murray.
It really is. If you haven't yet, folks, do get in touch on our live chat page. Do vote on our poll. It's currently still Andy Murray leading the poll at 56% and leading by 12% from the votes of Zverev, who's currently on 44% to win this match. But he is leading Zverev. He's won the opening set and currently just serving to get himself back level in this second set against a three-time Grand Slam champion. What can he do here? Double fault from Zverev. Both of them hit the net. And he shows frustration, and can you blame him? That was pretty poor. So, love 15.
I still find it quite hard to believe that they've only met each other twice. But just because Andy Murray won that one after all those months he had to take out of the game for the injuries and everything.
Yeah.
But,
so, love 30. Murray maybe rattling Zverev's serve again. Oh, poor backhand shot by Murray. It looked as though it hit the frame of his racket and it was terribly timed, and Andy Murray knows that that's a terrible point to give away. Very basic indeed against one of the top seeds. Wait until you see this. Pretty poor shot.
Bet Zverev would have been happy with that one though. Cheap point. Didn't really have to do much with it.
15-30, Zverev getting a point back. Murray approaching close to the net there from the baseline in his approach towards his teammate's service. And Murray's hit it long with his forehand. Feels like he could have won that point. So 30-all.
I just got to that point then where with the backhand it just kind of hit the bottom of the frame of his racket and just skidded into the court across the floor.
Now at deuce. Oh no, sorry. Zverev leading 40-30. Thanks to you lot for tuning in for me and Cara is a late one. It's now a Wednesday over here. It's 1:45 in the morning. Originally this match was planned roughly for 9:30, but sadly due to a couple of other matches going on, they overlapped on the same court.
Many thanks to Leila Fernandez and Shelby Rogers for delaying our start.
Yeah, to finally close that gap on Murray for this second set. Murray hits the net and Zverev's a point away. So Zverev on advantage.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, Murray's hit it long with his forehand return. It's now 3-3, and well, these two players can't. He was 3-1 up, Murray, and now he's probably, well, second set obviously still.
Yeah, it's like neither of them can find momentum when it matters and kind of maintain it. Andy Murray had his chances at 3-1. He had his chances in the first set 3-love. But Zverev levelling up at 3-all is kind of like a deja vu from probably from about 45 minutes ago, would you say? 45, 50 minutes. What can Murray do in this? What can Murray do in this return a serve to get? Well, what can he do in his service game to edge ahead?
You do feel like this is quite a crucial game, this one. Because if Zverev broke his serve, he could potentially then lead at 5-3.
Yeah. If Murray drops serve and Zverev holds, Zverev's a game away from the quarterfinals. I think is the next stage for these guys, isn't it?
What was it, last 32? So.
Or is it the last 16 that's next, isn't it?
Last 16, yeah. And then quarterfinals, semi and a final. So yes, anyone who wins this, they've still got potentially 4 more matches to play to finish the tournament. No, that's a great forehand by Murray. No chance from Zverev. He got to the end of it, but because it was so powerful, he hardly pushed it anywhere forward there. I do think Murray's played well tonight. There's been glimpses of him showing maybe a bit of old Murray and a bit more clinical from him, but he's still a little bit behind. And if anything, Cara, he might actually use this match as a positive to just learn from it.
Yeah, because
when up against someone who's in the top rankings,
he's kept up with him. Like, Zverev obviously isn't playing a great match, neither's Andy Murray, but he's sticking with him. He's had his chances. I know it's frustrating where you can't convert on these break points and game points, but when you're facing Zverev seeded 3 at a big tournament, there's loads of positives he can take from this. Like, he's not been moving particularly bad either. Like, some of his court positionings and kind of strength, you know, when we see him kind of soften his knees and get low into the ground to take on those forehands.
Especially at Masters. Can't go wrong with that.
No.
Looks like that might have to be a second serve for Murray. Trying to hold on to the serve. He's only a point ahead. And this rally still continues. What a rally that was, and what a point that is for Zverev. Andy Murray's showing his frustration because I think he's quite surprised that he didn't kill that point off. Because of that, we're now at deuce, and as I said, this game could be very, very important towards this match, as Zverev trying to break his serve and go on to win the second set and then seal the match.
We've seen it quite a lot so far, though, that all the deuce games that we've seen so far have probably been a deciding factor in the match. Because like it's taking energy out of the server having to go advantage, deuce, advantage, deuce, advantage, deuce, and just walk back and two from each side.
Well, that deuce still. Oh, Murray with a great forehand. Oh, what a rally this is. Both doing overarm hits, and somehow Zverev kept this going. Oh, shame for Zverev as he's hit it long. That was a great rally. That was the rally of the match so far. Murray should have won the point to begin with, but Zverev will be good not to have won it after a miraculous way of winning it. But he hit it long down the middle. So advantage Murray. And Murray's hit it wide, and it's back to deuce. One of his fluorescent laces. Hopefully that doesn't affect him too much.
Good job he's not one of the superstitious players like Rafa.
Yeah.
Because I imagine if that happened to Rafa, they'd have to stop play immediately so he could fix his shoes.
Murray's serve went long. Good forehand by Murray, and leads the second set 4-3 with Zverev to serve next. Sadly, from a sleepy perspective, I would love to see this done in 2 sets, but we'll see.
It's one of those double-edged swords, isn't it? Like, you kind of want to go to bed, but you kind of want it to go on for another set.
Oh no, I'll be happy if it ends in 2.
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie. If
It's been a long day.
I would quite happily say I'm part German. Just to
I'd like to say I'm not Scottish.
Oh god.
The winner speed at that point was, if you really want to know, 93 miles per hour. But as we watch now, Zverev operating on his trainer. It's his left foot. As he's sorting out the laces as we speak. I think he's taken all of it out. He's in a bit, of course, he's probably in a bit of a rush here since these breaks don't go on for very long. It looks as though he's putting on some white laces, I think.
Interesting.
I think they're laces. I'm a bit amazed he's got any spares, unless someone's provided it. I kind of got to question a tennis player when they can't sort out their laces to begin with and then be in this situation.
I mean, to save lacing them back up again, I'd be whacking on a new pair of trainers.
Well, Andy Murray's waiting on the court.
God.
How long is this going to take?
I mean, we've seen some controversy surrounding timing issues during Andy Murray's first round US Open match against Tsitsipas, who had like an 8-minute bathroom break, but I don't think Murray expected a good few minutes shoe break.
Which, in all, Murray was so close to beating him as well. That'd have been some win for Andy Murray.
Oh, it probably would have been. I mean, excluding his wins at the Grand Slams, it probably would have been one of his greatest wins of his second part of his career.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're showing cameras on the chair umpire now, and she's kind of smirking because it's just one of those situations. Oh, it's taking. Come on. Zverev's doing all he can.
Well, everybody's watching him as well. It probably isn't doing him any favours because he's trying to rush. But if you rush it, you're just going to take longer because you'll make a mistake.
Well, if people really want to know, this match has now reached 1 hour and 31 minutes of match time. How many of those minutes were done from laces?
Wouldn't be surprised if Andy Murray started kicking off. I know there's not much that Zverev can do, and this is not great.
Well, we're enjoying a couple of fans and all that dancing in the stands as they wait.
Thank God for fans.
And I think Andy Murray's been granted a quick toilet break because of the wait as he's running down the tunnel with someone following him, of course, to make sure it doesn't take too long. It's quite funny seeing Andy Murray walk past a sign that says Tennis Paradise. For him, he's hoping it says Toilet Paradise right now. And still, Zverev is still sorting out his laces. Oh, he's putting them on now. I think he sorted it. And the time since the last point is exactly 5 minutes ago, as they've just put up. Typical, he's ready, and now Murray's now
now
Murray's
done a runner off the court.
Zverev was just about to put the lace in the bin, and then one of the fans wanted it, so he threw it to them. So Zverev picking up his tennis balls before he serves, and Murray is back, and that was a very quick toilet break. Maybe Tsitsipas could learn a thing or two from Murray there.
Doubt he's watching.
Anyway, Zverev starting the point, and it's a terrible start for him. He's hit the net on his second hit. Oh no, sorry. I think Murray actually hit it long. So because of that, Zverev wins the point, 15-love. His serve there's gone wide down the middle. I'll have to try it again. Oh, and Zverev's hit it long with his backhand. 15 all. Of course, if Murray wins this break, then it's fair to say that he should be the favourite to win the second set.
I'm sure there was probably a few other words thrown in there as well.
Yeah, you never know with him. With these two, because Andy Murray recently said, I think it was this week or last week, that he thinks the ATP should do more when a tennis player gets accused of assault. Of course,
Yeah.
Zverev, I mean, it's all allegedly at the moment, but apparently Zverev, when he was at the Shanghai Masters, he apparently hit his ex-partner at his hotel room. Don't know if that's true, but that's what the reports say. And Andy Murray was saying recently that, you know, stuff like that should be taken more seriously by the ATP. So I wonder what Zverev thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's similar cases going on at the moment. Obviously, Alexander Zverev, the alleged assault with him and his ex-partner, and Nick Kyrgios a couple of days ago actually fared a similar storyline. He and his girlfriend allegedly had a big bust-up, and they were quarantining in the hotel, weren't they? And